What is up, YouTube? This is Magician34, and this is Budget Fridays. And as you may be able to tell from our Watery Dragon playmat, today we are all about the big scary beasts from the deep. And namely, we are focusing on Feraligatr. This is the Feraligatr from Phantom Forces. He features 150 HP, a 3 energy retreat, which is maybe a little much, but we're not planning on retreating, so it's not a big deal. And 2 attacks, which can both be powered up with a double colorless energy, which is nice. His first one is 60 damage, and you get to flip a coin until you get tails, and for each heads you remove an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. That's cool. And his other attack, for 2 water and 2 colorless, is 80 damage, but if they have any damage on them at all already, it deals an extra 80 damage, which means if they've got any damage on them already, this guy puts out 160 damage, which is pretty much a knockout on most things. So this guy is definitely our heavy hitter. He's our bruiser. And the whole deck is going to be centered on him. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, we're going to focus on Pokemon who use coin toss attacks today, because we are featuring Trick Coin, which is a somewhat underrated card that can really put out a lot of power for us. It lets us exploit these coin toss effects and maximize their potential by kind of playing off their statistics. You know, 1 coin toss is 50% chance, in other words, but with Trick Coin resetting that 1 coin flip alone, you get to have a 75% chance of success, essentially, which is very good, and according to most schools, that's a passing grade, so there you go. To help get to Feraligatr, we're running 1 Croconaw. We're running rare candies to get the rest of the way up, but we do have 1 Croconaw in case we need to go searching for him somehow. And we also feature 3 Totodiles for 3 Feraligatrs. Our support Pokemon here is actually an uncommon, and he doesn't get a lot of attention. It's Diggersby. They've printed an extraordinary number of Diggersbys. This is the XY Diggersby. It's got 100 HP, a 2 energy retreat, but once again, we're not really worried about retreating too much. His first attack for 2 colorless, which is a double colorless energy, or 2 waters, or whatever, picks up 2 items from your discard pile and puts them into your hand, which is pretty utilitarian. And considering some of the other things we're packing in this deck, like Crushing Hammer, for instance, his pickup attack can be very, very powerful indeed. And to go with our Trick Coin, we also have his second attack, Dig, which is 50 damage for 3 colorless, which isn't super spectacular, but if you get your coin toss right, he's immune to the effects of all attacks, including damage done to him during the next turn, which is pretty spectacular. And so that's what we're basically going to be doing, by the way, is Energy Deprivation, which is a very inexpensive tactic that can have some very powerful effects. Even the most Tier 1 decks most of them have a very hard time getting around having their energies removed regularly. So Feraligatr's Hyper Whirlpool and Diggersby's pickup, allowing us to go get our hammers back, can be very powerful. It's a great way to defeat opponents who probably have much more expensive decks. Now, as far as Bunnelbys go, you have basically 2 choices as I see it. There are a variety of Bunnelbys, but you can either run this one from the new set Primal Clash, this uncommon one, who's got Omega Barrage, which allows him to attack twice, so you can do any combination of his first attack, which lets you discard the top card of your opponent's deck, or use his second attack, which lets you pick a card from your discard pile and put it back into your deck. That's not too bad if you find yourself needing to attack with him. But we also have this other Bunnelby who's a great option, the X and Y Bunnelby, because you can easily get a double colorless energy onto him to use this, and his Dig is just like Diggersby's Dig, except it only does 10 damage, which is kind of underwhelming. But if you're attacking with Bunnelby, you may already be in kind of a tight situation, so you definitely want to, you're more concerned with the coin toss than the damage at that point. So either one of these guys is fine, but 3 Bunnelbys either way, kind of do it to your taste. Sorry guys, I'm still a little sick. And the last Pokemon, we're running 2 more Pokemon, so that we're running a total of 15, is actually Spinda. This Spinda is also from Primal Clash. It's got 80 HP, and it retreats for 1, and both its attacks are for 1 energy. So 1 water energy lasts this guy for a lifetime. And his first attack, Staggering Steps, allows him to use Trick Coin, but it's not as big of a deal as his second attack. But for the record, his first attack, if you get your coin toss right, it confuses them. If you get it wrong, it confuses you. So obviously, if you feel like you need to put the Trick Coin on him, he basically confuses people with that. but still not super great. It's his second attack that's important, Uproar, which does 10 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon, which basically means that Spinda here can tag all of your opponent's Pokemon for a single energy so that Feraligatr can come back later and pick up all those knockouts. In fact, if you can Uproar twice, that means that even 180 HP EX Pokemon, some of them only have 170, but some have 180, 2 Uproars puts all of those 180 HP EXs into one-shot KO range for Feraligatr, which is pretty useful. It makes Spinda a very good early game Pokemon, and you can of course search for it if you need to as well. As far as supporters go, we're running 14. Our supporters are very much about drawing for us this game. We have 4 Juniper, which could also be 4 Sycamore, one way or the other, whichever one's easier for you to get. We're running 3 Ns. N is a very useful card for us because we're probably going to cough up some early game prizes, so this guy is definitely going to help us mess with our opponent's hand, depriving them cards while still drawing us pretty deep. N's pretty crucial there. We're running 2 copies of Shana because she can be a good way to draw a lot of cards early game or late game. Unlike Coalwrath and unlike Bianca, she's not necessarily dependent on the situation. She always gets you 5 pretty much no matter what, so that's why we're opting for 2 of her. Even if we take a lot of prizes, she's still going to be useful for us. However, we are going to run 1 Coalwrath. This is mostly as a Versus Seeker target. But we can fill up our bench with some ease. So, especially since a lot of decks these days do fill up their benches too, 1 Coalwrath is very nice. It's a good way to exploit that. Versus Seekering for it, under the right circumstances, can lead you to drawing 7, 8, 9, or even 10 cards, which is pretty impressive. Speaking of Versus Seeker, which we can get back with Diggersby, so we can re-abuse all these one-of supporters pretty easily, we have 1 copy of Teammates, so you can easily fodder off any Pokemon in this deck, since none of them are EXs, for a single prize, and then you can Teammates on the next turn, and go for any 2 cards you want. It's a conditional, but cost-free double computer search, which is pretty astonishing. Very powerful. We do have 1 Skyla. She's mainly... yeah, she can find stuff late game, but she's actually more of an early game card in this deck, just to find those utilitarian cards, to find that rare candy you need, to find that Ultra Ball you need for that Pokemon. We're just running 1, but late game she can, of course, be a Versus Seeker target too. We do have 1 Team Flare Grunt. This is to help our energy removal theme. You can Versus Seeker for it, but this can get basic energies, and it's guaranteed, which is very nice, so it's a good card to utilize. And, of course, 1 Zander to manipulate our opponent's bench, which is pretty standard. Also very useful, and it's great with Feraligatr's second strike. Now, we're running 18 items. A lot of them are self-explanatory. We got 2 rare candies to help us get up to Feraligatr. We're opting for 3 trick coins. These let us reflip 1 coin toss on our attack once per turn. Actually, it reflips all of them. So with Feraligatr, if you flip for Hyper Whirlpool and you reflip, it reflips all the coins. Like, you erase everything you did on the first flip, so do keep that in mind. But usually, you're only going to use your trick coin if you miss your first coin toss and you get nothing. Otherwise, you pretty much go with it. Now, as far as hammers go, we're running 3 Enhanced Hammer. This only removes special energy, but it's guaranteed. You don't have to flip a coin for it. So we're opting for 3 because double colorless energy, strong energy, rainbow energy, they're all a thing. Wonder energy may well be a thing too. We're running 4 Crushing Hammer. And these may not always work, but we're going to be able to recycle them. And basically, these Crushing Hammers are just to pelt our opponents with removal and slow them down big time and kind of force them to play on our level and buy time for Feraligatr to get up and start bashing things. That's kind of our deck's plan. Like I said, we can bring it back with Diggersby, which is really cool. We're opting for 2 Ultra Balls. We got a fair amount of draw power, so 2 Ultra Balls are basically all we need to kind of make sure we get the Pokemon we need. We do have 1 Switch. This is a target we can bring back again and again. You can opt for an Escape Rope. It's up to you. Personally, I'm a much bigger fan of Switch, however. We're running 2 Versus Seeker. This is to get back any supporter we might need, but especially our one-ofs, and kind of abuse them late game. Once again, Diggersby allows us to really take advantage of this, so that's pretty useful. And the only rare in the deck, actually, other than our 3 Feraligatrs, everything else is uncommon or below. Our one other rare I would like you to get is an Ace Spec. Now, I've opted for Scoop Up Cyclone just because I think, well, that could be a lot of fun early game. You know, after we take some light hits, we can scoop somebody up, reuse those double colorless energies. However, there are lots of good options for this slot. I think the other best option is probably either Computer Search, which is a very expensive Ace Spec, or on the cheaper end, you can use Gold Potion. I think Gold Potion is probably the most abusable Ace Spec with Diggersby. So I would actually say this almost would want to be Gold Potion more, and Gold Potion's a very, very inexpensive Ace Spec. It's only worth like $1 or $2, I think, right now when I'm making this video. But heck, you could even run a Master Ball here. So just about any Ace Spec you want is good, but if you don't have the Ace Spec or don't want to put it in here, there are lots of other choices. You can run another supporter of your choice, you can run an additional switch, another Ultra Ball, whatever you want to fit. It's a very open slot. And last but not least, we have 13 energies, which are 4 double colorless energy, which are pretty self-explanatory because every Pokemon in the deck except Spinda really capitalize on it. And then we've got 9 water, which should be all we need, actually, because our Pokemon are not very energy heavy with the exception of Feraligatr. And really, we only need to power up like 1 Feraligatr pretty much, maybe 2, to get our gaming gear. So, that is your Feraligatr deck, or the Feraligatr, or Feraligatr, as it will probably come to be known by your opponents because it's a very annoying rage-inducing deck, but it's a very effective deck. So, until next time, like, comment, subscribe, and check out my channel for more Pokemon content.